All right, Shane, we are back, and we survived another one.
Survive in advance. And you know what? They say it's better to be lucky than good. We had a little bit of luck, and I think we were flashes of good. But
Yep.
when you have a freshman quarterback, you can guarantee he's gonna make it interesting, and he did.
Wow. Yeah, and like you said, a little lucky, a little good. There were some good things. Uh, there were a lot of bad things, and I think one of the things we talked about in the pregame was we hoped that we would come out and just dominate. And again, I had the same feeling as I had last week in that I never really felt like we were going to lose the game. I felt like we were in control of the game. We just couldn't seem to get over that hump and put it away.
When you say we're in control of the game, I have the same feeling. I'm like, oh my. And then when it got within a score, I had flashbacks of Houston.
Yeah.
And it just makes me kind of take a breath. And I was kind of, you know, West Virginia had it in hand. And you're scrolling your phone, look at other things and watch, check other scores. And I'm like, wait a second, this needs my attention because this is what happened a couple years ago against Pitt. I get distracted, come back, and they end up losing. So superstition, you think you have a vested, you contribute to their victory by paying attention, but no.
Right.
Coach, are you feeling a little better about maybe West Virginia being able to compete against Arizona State next week? Or are we getting to let's just savor this victory? But
well, I thought going in, I thought if we go in and we dominate and take care of business like we should, then I feel good about next week. I don't know that we dominated. I saw a lot of things that I hope we wouldn't see. A lot of the interceptions, things like that. But overall, really and truly, if you kind of step back and look at it, our defense, even though we gave up, good amount of passing yards, I thought our defense played pretty well. We did some good things defensively that we hadn't seen for a while. I got a lot of pressure on the quarterback. We sacked him numerous times. But I don't know. It's just it's kind of mixed feelings about it, kind of like the whole season. You just don't know what we got. And I feel like we're just on the verge of being a pretty good football team. But then there's those little things that, make you think, we're not quite there yet. So I'm not sure how I'm feeling. I'll let you know on Wednesday.
I'll tell you what's going to take that. I'm going to have to watch a couple of plays here and there, but they can clean some things up. But overall, for a team that had problems at the line, both sides of the ball, I was very pleased to see the defense get that push and contain that pocket on a slippery. I mean, this kid should be playing high school ball. Impressed with Juju. Had some nice throws. But once again, he made some freshman mistakes, and then Mountaineers made him pay. And that seemed to be the first quarter seemed to be that was the nail in the coffin. If the Mountaineers didn't have that first quarter being solid all around, I think the doors fall off and Mountaineers lose.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I was listening to some of the game because of this TV situation we talked about beforehand. I had to listen to some of it on Sirius Radio, and I was actually listening to the Colorado announcers, and they pointed to that first quarter, as being a big part of this game, and in that we got to him, we sacked him, we made him hurry some throws and that sort of thing, and they felt like he kind of got out of his out of his game a little bit, out of his rhythm. He, of course, hadn't gotten into rhythm yet.
Oh, we lost Coach for a second. He paused. Hopefully, you guys can hear him. But when you have a team that is 3-6, like Colorado is, it's indicative of a team that has maybe is Colorado struggling, or is West Virginia looking that good? So yeah, he did freeze. So that's what I'm kind of concerned about. Was West Virginia that good in the first quarter, or was Colorado that bad? If you're beating last week a 7-2 team, you have a little better feeling about the way West Virginia's performance has been. But we seem to lose coach for a little bit. Let's let him catch up. But guys, if you would have, I keep saying this, if you would have told Shane, if you'd get my DeLorean that I have parked out there with Doc Brown, go back just a few weeks, I didn't think West Virginia had any chance. Neither did ESPN. We did on the show what the stats say. What do the prognosticators say West Virginia's chances of winning this game was? It was 20%, 18% the week before. So they had a 20% and 18% chance of winning these games. And then it went down to single digits for Arizona State and really low, like 5 or 6% for Texas Tech. I'm interested to see where that needle moves with West Virginia tying a few wins together. I think they're still going to be dogs going out to the desert to play Arizona State. But Rich Rod has to feel pretty good about his Mountaineer team and his quarterback. So let's go to the chat. It got Afton in here with a smiley crying face. So yeah, that's exactly the emoji I would put on the Mountaineers eking it out. But you have to remember one thing. This is the spot where the Mountaineers are. They're in a spot where I thought a few weeks ago we would be lucky for the Mountaineers to turn the corner in maybe week 4 or 5 next year, 2026. Here we are. As Mountaineer fans, you have to be happy that the team looks as not great, not fantastic, but they were terrible, and things are optimistic. I wouldn't say, would you say, chat, that they turned the corner? Because I think you win against Arizona State. That program's turned the corner. I think they're going to get the recruits. I just hope the Mountaineers can maintain this momentum. Because a few weeks ago, we all know it was difficult to watch, very difficult to watch. But it's so fun to watch the Mountaineers when they're playing the ball that they are. So, got Pitt basketball coming up on the 13th. If you're a Mountaineer basketball fan, we don't talk about basketball very much on here because it's a football show, but you have to be excited because, I was going to start talking purely about basketball because the Mountaineers were having such a rough time. But have you had issues like Coach CRIST did finding the game? If you don't have TNT, you don't have HBO Max. Did you listen to it on the radio? Did you listen to it on Sirius? How did you guys listen to it? Hit me up in the chat and let me know how you guys watched the game. I watched it on TNT. I thought they did a pretty good job. I really enjoy Mike Golick Jr. I do. I think he's one of the better commentators that we have. There's a few that make me scratch my head on how the hell they got a job, but Mike Golick Jr. is fantastic. They do always reference pepperoni rolls, but so does Shane. I always reference food. Penn State's the creamery, West Virginia's pepperoni rolls. But, oh, here we go. Coach is back. I'm going to put him up here. So he's still spinning a little bit. We'll wait for him to come back on. I can see his smiling face. But, Afton says, and Afton is a outsider looking in. She is a casual West Virginia fan. She's a rabid Steelers fan. She's more of an NFL girl. She's from Kansas. And her take, I think, is very accurate. She says, I don't know about turning the corner, but they're improving and always take improving. What do you think, Coach? You think Afton has hit the nail on the head? She doesn't think they've turned the corner, but she thinks they're definitely improving, and that's something that's good.
Yeah, let me apologize for the internet. It's acting wonky. I don't know what's going on with it. got good Wi-Fi, but it just keeps cutting out on me. But yeah, I agree with that. I don't know that we've turned the corner. We're getting better.
Yeah,
I think if we'd have played this game 2 or 3 weeks ago, we'd have probably lost the game. I just feel like
absolutely.
that we've got that mindset now in a right mindset. We're heading in the right direction. We're definitely improving. I don't know, like she said, I don't know that we've turned the corner. I think we still have a ways to go yet. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but Shane, I'll tell you what, we looked at this from the beginning of the season and what we were up against, the roster we had to put together, coming in late, starting all this. And, a lot of people were saying 5, 6 wins, that sort of thing. When that evolves into 5 or 6 wins, then people want to complain. But, I think there's a lot of positives that we can take from this, in that, we were up against it. Really, Rich Rodriguez was up against it. And, I think from what this team has shown, for the whole year, if you look at it as a whole, not bad. I mean, I don't know what more you could expect from the situation that we were in.
Yeah, Hubbard looked a little bit injured. I was very concerned that already reached into the defense to get a kid that had carried the ball before, maybe in high school, and his name's Jones, right? Jones's performance was pretty good. Number 18. I was very pleased. A powerful third down type of guy. The cupboard's getting really bare. I would really like, and I said this just a few minutes ago when you were hopping back on. I thought the Mountaineers, just 2 weeks ago, we would be blessed, be very fortunate if in game 4 or 5 we would see what we're seeing right now in 2026.
Yeah.
And here we are. It's November 8th of 2025, and it's not October of 2026. This is still year 0. I've said it on the Monday show over and over. This is year 0. I think West Virginia is ahead of where they probably would have been. And you said it. They were picked for 5 wins. I think they're right on mark to get that. Can they get 6 wins? I think that would be a huge success for the program. Yeah. But right now, I like the way things are, panning out for Rich Rod and company.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like you said, right on schedule, maybe a little ahead of schedule. And I laughed whenever you talked about the running back here, Jones. Again, listening to it on Sirius, it was the Colorado announcers, and they were saying they put an offensive lineman in to run the ball. They were going crazy about it. But hey, you do what you got to do, and hats off to Coach Rodriguez and that staff. I mean, you think about it, Shane. And I know you've coached a little bit. You put yourself in a situation that they've been in. I mean, you lose quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. You lose receivers, running backs. I mean, you have lost the meat of your team, and you're trying to piece together a team to go out there and compete. Yet they're going out there and winning some games, and I feel really good about the program. I don't have. I know everybody, all these armchair coaches, let's fire the coach, let's do this, let's do that. I'm all in. I think we're headed in the right direction. I think you give Rich time, he will produce a winner, and I think we're doing just fine.
No, short of hitting the basketball team up for some guys. I mean,
yeah.
I think Huggins did that with Brown one year, got him to play a little deep defense.
Sure did.
Yeah. But when I my little bit of coaching I had, I would lose kids towards the end of the season to winter baseball, travel baseball. Right. And, and they usually are pretty good athletes, so you'd have to kind of patch stuff together. But Rich Rod has been around a minute, and I would love, Coach, wouldn't you love to have I have a magic 8 ball here. It's not a crystal ball, but I shake it once in a while, ask questions. And Joey and I, a year and a half ago, we did a show where the magic 8 ball, a digital one, picked all the wins for each Big 12 team. And guess who ended up winning the Big 12? Arizona State.
Yeah.
And Magic 8 ball picked it. But I wish Magic 8 ball would tell me what Coach Prime said to Coach Rich Rod. What was that conversation at the end of the game?
Yeah, that would be a fun thing.
We lost him again real quick. But I was thinking, a few weeks ago after the Pitt win, Rich Rod found himself hungry, and I think he went over to Chili's or Applebee's or something across the parking lot over by the Hampton Inn. I remember maybe they were talking about going over there to catch something to eat, but I don't think so. But no, that was definitely a fun game to watch. I want to ask you guys in the chat, what do you think the chances of West Virginia winning 50% of the games? So that means Arizona State lose to Texas Tech. I'd say there's a good 75% chance. Now, take it one further. What do you think the chances of, and Coach CRIST, when you get back on, I'll pop you on. What do you think the chances of West Virginia, after they win this Arizona State game, Texas Tech being maybe top 5 and coming into Morgantown? I think that's pretty likely. Pretty likely. But there are some good games on today. I watched the highlights of the Indiana Penn State. There was a really strange call. It looked like he was out of bounds, but he put his toe down. Indiana, I think, snuck out of there with a win. Wow. Talk about crazy. That's a rough place to play. So I kind of am a closet Indiana Hoosiers fan because of our guy, West Virginia alum and our former quarterback, Curt Cignetti, son of the Frank Cignetti. So he has a soft spot in my heart because I'm from Indiana, PA. He coached at IUP there. But no, that's good to see Penn State getting one in the chops. Wow. I can't believe it, guys. West Virginia might be 500. Might be 500. 4 wins. 5 wins. 6 wins. 6 wins will get them bowl eligible. I don't know, guys. So, Afton says, gotta run. Thank you, Afton, for popping in. I appreciate it. But what else do you want us to talk about? Well, I'll tell you what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that West Virginia is gaining some traction in recruiting. I know they had some recruits there today. Mountaineer Paul talked about it. I'm not going to talk about it. But would you like to see where do you think West Virginia needs to fill? And who do they retain? Well, first of all, you got to retain Preston Fox, right? Then I think they still need some help at linebacker because a lot of those guys on that back end of the defense our seniors are 1-year mercenaries. Rich Rod needs to start recruiting high school guys, develop them, build them up. There was a pyramid kind of shown on the TCU game. And when they were talking about it on the broadcast, it showed a healthy program has this many transfers, this many high school recruits. I think West Virginia is a little inverted on that pyramid. Not by Rich Rod's fault, but just by happenstance. But here comes Coach one more time. Sorry, Coach, you froze, so I popped you off, and then you got live again. I was just getting ready to click you back on, and I lost you.
Man, I apologize.
Audio.
Don't know what's going on. It'll go out again, so just be prepared.
Can you do audio only and no video?
I could try that and see what happens.
Yeah, do that, and we'll just talk.
Okay.
So, there we go. We can hear Coach. So we're talking about the back end. There's an inverse triangle West Virginia has where they have more transfers than they do high school guys coming in. I think once they reverse that and get to like a Texas Tech or a TCU, like most healthy programs have a different ratio. I think, and it's not Rich Rod's fault. I think they're going to get there eventually. But what are your thoughts on West Virginia's needs for next year? Quarterback, I think that I like Fox. I would love to see him stick around.
Yeah. I think I think we're solid there. Running backs. It looks like we got some pretty good running backs in the stable, and hopefully get some healthy people back. I think our biggest needs offensively, definitely wide receiver. I think we need to get some folks to get to not necessarily catch the ball, but to get open. We got good receivers that can catch. They just seem to have a hard time getting open, and you're not going to come across a Cam Vaughn every day, but I think we need a few receivers. I think a big play receiver would be awesome. Of course, again, like you said earlier, wishing one hand, what in the other, see what happens. Offensive line, if you'd asked me this question 3 or 4 weeks ago, I would have said we have got to get some linemen. But I think that offensive line is finally starting to gel just a little bit, and they're playing a lot better right now. So I don't know, and again, I'm not a football coach, so I don't know, but I would think that doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, I would agree, Coach. Offensive line, yeah, looks a lot better.
Yeah, I think they've improved significantly, and so that's a good sign. Defensively, I really feel like too that our defensive backs are not bad. I think we've had a few problems back there, but overall I don't think they're horrible. I think a lot of people were really down on them early on. I think that a lot of that has to do with Mickey Plumlee and I have talked a lot on the show about how all this stuff works together. And if you don't have a defensive line that's putting pressure on the quarterback, your defensive backs don't have a chance. I mean, you can't cover a person for 4 or 5 seconds back there. Just you and him. It's practically impossible to do. And so I don't know that the defensive backfield is a big problem. I think our defensive line, we need to get more of a rush. That we've seemed to have good run stoppers. We shut down that run pretty well today. We put pressure on early. I thought as the game wore on, we didn't get as much pressure as we did early on. But, defensively, I think that linebackers are an issue. I think and I don't think it's necessarily talent as much as it is speed. I think we need a little bit more quickness back there. So, I think our biggest needs are wide receivers and probably linebackers.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what I started off with. I said in the back end of the defense, that inside linebacker, outside linebacker, definitely they just don't seem to have that speed. I do agree. The corners have really, the defensive backfield has come into its own, and it's one of those things where you're going to give up plays every now and then. There's no perfect cover. You don't bat 1,000 when you play, a press man and you're a corner guy. But I will say, I don't know off the top of my head how many of these cats are, one and dones.
Right.
I'll have to look at my list here, and it's so hard to keep track. I mean, great Coach, I tell you what, it's crazy for me. I even have cheat sheets, and it's like, does this guy have a year left or 2 years left?
Yeah.
Because they're all like 23, 24.
Right.
Yeah. But no, this has been a good rundown for the post show. Coach, we're gonna wrap it up here in about 3 minutes.
Okay.
I wanted to go to the chat and see who we have in here. You have Coop in here. Coop says Curtis Jones is the player of the game. Now, what are your thoughts? Who do you think had sealed the deal for the Mountaineers? Who was the player of the game?
Well, I don't know. In a game like this, I don't know that anybody really stands out. I think Curtis Jones was excellent. It's hard to say. I mean, because you had some big plays on defense. You had some turnovers that we converted. Offensively, wasn't anything that really stood out, but it was solid. Performed pretty solid. So I honestly, I don't know that I have a pick for a player of the game. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I agree, but with just the fact that he hasn't played the position in quite a while, stepped in, scored. I I would have to give it to Curtis Jones because
Yeah.
there's really no one else. Like everybody did a good job, not a great job, but I mean, if you would have had this performance a couple weeks ago, we would have been like everybody gets a trophy because we were so starved for any sort of execution, and everyone seems to be doing their job. And like you said, you and Mickey, everyone has to do what they're supposed to do. Do your job. Don't worry about anything else, and just get it done. And the Mountaineers seem to be doing that. Well, I think that's a good spot to just wrap it up with a bow. You have a show Wednesdays. What time?
Yep. Wednesday night, 7:00. About their locker room then and now.
So the West Virginia channel on the Voice of College Football, guys, we have a show Monday at 9. We have a show Wednesday at 7. We have a show Thursday at 8. And then you have a pregame and a postgame show before and after every Mountaineer game.
Yep.
So check us out. West Virginia Live. Thursday's the call-in show. Guys, it's a great day to be a Mountaineer. Coach, what do you have to say?
Hey, this is what I say. A win is a win. I don't care who it's against. How you get it, you get that win. And we're winning. That's 2 in a row. We're going to get 3 in a row next week and then get bowl eligible, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I agree. Tie a bow on it. Get another win so we get eyeballs on television sets for this Texas Tech game, and maybe the Mountaineers get an early Christmas gift. But that's all I have. Thanks, Coach. Thanks for letting me fill in.
Appreciate you, buddy. Did a great job. Thank you very much.
Hey, everybody. Best wishes and moonshine kisses. Bye, all.
Goodbye.